Hey everyone, welcome to this video. I'm Aryan and today we're going to create this cool theme section for WordPress. We will be using Bricks Builder and you can check the description of this video to know more about my setup. So let's start by building the first section here, the first container. Let's go on our website. So first of all, click on section, click on the first container here, and then let's add our items like plus button. I'm going to add, let's say, heading, then again heading, then again, a basic text, and then I would add also a div, and inside of the div, so click on the div, I will be adding two buttons. So click on here, and where is the buttons? 1 and 2. Okay, great. So we have our first element. I would rename the first heading very quickly, like heading small and heading big, just to make them different. Okay, and now we have our element set it up. We need to style it, but before doing that, I want to create also the rest of the elements. So let's get back to the design. So here in the design, for example, we done this, right? Now we need to add all the elements here, all the cards, and we will be styling at the end. So let's go back here. And first of all, let me try to add another container. So close this first container and click on section. If you want, you can rename this container title. Click on section, plus button, container. Now we have another container. We call it container cards. By selecting the container cards, we can add, we can basically go and display, instead of those flags here as default, go on grid. And now we need to find out how many items you have. So 3 per row. So on grid, you can use, FR, 1FR and 1FR as always. But I'm using AutomaticCSS, and with AutomaticCSS, I basically right click here and just say 3. Okay, and then here on grid template, you can use FR, or in my case, I would say grid 2 with AutomaticCSS. It's a lot faster. Okay, great. So once you've done that, we need to create the actual card, right? So by container card selected, plus button, and search for block. With block selected, I would call this block probably team member glass card. It's a little bit long. Let's call team glass card. It's easier. Okay, great. So once you've done that, we need to add another div inside of it, because of course if you check the design, you see that we have this element that is the block, and then I want this one to be a div, and inside of the div I would create all those elements. So very quickly, with team glass card selected, I would go and click on plus button and search for a div. Okay, so click on div in this case. Now the problem here is that he added the div outside of the card. So remove this. Let me click again on the card and see if it's able to get it in. Div. Nope. So there is some bug here. So what you can do is just drag and drop the div inside of a team glass card. Now we have the div here. We can call it content wrapper. Perfect. And inside of the content wrapper, we can basically add another div. This because I want these two items to be aligned. So you need to click on plus button again and go on and click div. And now the div is inside of it. We did not have any bug, and I call it title wrapper. Okay. With title wrapper selected, go on display flex, and make sure it's horizontal. You can click on it again, and then I would go and let me see, I will click on space between, okay, to make sure the items are spaced on the between them, like the image is showing here. It's basically explanatory, and then I will click on plus button and add a heading. Where is it? Okay, and then I would add also an icon. Here you go. As you can see now, they are on the same row. That's great. Then what we need to add is actually, let me see the design. We have this little small title here, and then we have this text, and then we have social network. So as you can see, this one will be another div. So content wrapper, okay? Or you can also duplicate this title wrapper. Let's duplicate this title wrapper, and we will call it content wrapper. Okay, we can delete basically what is inside of it and just say, instead of direction horizontal, you make it vertical and you disable this. So now we have the content wrapper, and inside of the content wrapper plus button, you go and search for heading and then basic text. Of course, this heading, we will go and rename it as, let me see what it actually is. This could be position, and this is the name. So the heading here will be renamed on position, job position, and let's rename also on the title wrapper, the heading will be called this member name. Always order stuff, always rename stuff correctly, otherwise you get lost into the structure. So content wrapper, job position is this one, basic text is this one, and now we would check what they have. They have probably another div with inside of it 3 icons. So I would click on content wrapper plus button, or you can also duplicate this div, but let's create a new div just to practice a little bit. Div, click on it, call it social wrapper. With social wrapper, we can then click on plus button with social wrapper selected, and find icon, and basically you can use icon list. I prefer to go with icon in this way and just add 3 icons in my case, and then yeah, with social wrapper selected, you can instead of block, I would go with flex, and then I will go and add a column gap, but we will be doing this in just a moment. I won't style it right away. Okay, so this one was added. Okay, content wrapper, this one was added. Okay, we can also, with content wrapper, this one is the div content wrapper, you can also clean it up and just remove the display into, and keep it a block. It's not necessary to have a flex box, just to keep things clean, and this one is set correctly. Okay, so I would go and redo this because I want to class everything first. So let's remove these 2, okay, and let's go forward and class everything first. Usually to do that, you need to add a class to each item by clicking on it and just typing here and just starting, class, name, etc., etc. I'm using AutomaticCSS to speed up all the process. So I would go on the theme card glass, okay, and I would click on BAM. By clicking on BAM, I'm able to create, okay, all the classes for all the items. Let me move my camera, okay. And what I usually remove from it, it's there are elements that I don't really want to style. Sometimes then you can click on this X button if you want to remove it. In this case, I think that I will keep everything. So you can click on apply classes in this case. Okay, now everything, as you can see here on the top left, has classes like this one, content wrapper, and etc. So with that done, let's go and click on theme card glass. Okay, I would start basically adding the content, the right content, so that we are able to understand better what's going on. So let's start by the top. Very quickly, copy and paste your content, or just write down your content. Like this. Great. I will start with her. And basically, founder and CEO. Where is it? Here. Then I'm going to copy this. Oops. Okay, so we copy the content. Now let's start the styling. Okay, so for the styling, it's very simple. I would start by, first of all, separating the two containers so I can see better. Section, and then on row gap you can add EM or whatever. I'm using AutomaticCSS, so right click and I would go with section space. And as you can see, there is predefined section spacing. I would go with S for now. And now I have separated two container. So let's go and start with this one. By clicking on the title, you will find the title here, but I need to work on the title wrapper. With the title wrapper selected, click here to activate the class, and then go on display. And this time, as we done before, I'm going to use flex. Click on horizontal and then click on space between, and of course you also align cross axis in this way here. And then if you check the design, this one is actually an arrow, so I would always activate this and I would search for an arrow. Where is the arrow? Like this one. Okay, it's not the same arrow, but yeah, that would do the job. So we have this little arrow here, and we have the text here. So first of all, the text, maybe it's a little bit smaller. So click on the text, click on the class, go on style, typography, and font size. You can use your own font size. I would go with something predefined as always. I would go with let's see the design. They looks huge, so I think I will stick with XL. And then this one, go and click on the class content, and here you can use a sizing like EM or 1EM. Let me see if 1.5. Okay, so 1.5 would be good. And then we have founder and CEO. And as you can see, it's very small, and this text also is very small. So I'm going to click founder and CEO, click on the class, go on style, typography here, font size, and I would go with M. And also with this text here, if you click on it, you can activate the class, and font size, you can right click and go with M. Or you can also make it smaller if you want with S. Let's say I'll go with S and just add a calculation calc. I'm using AutomaticCSS, so I would work in this way, but you can add, the font size you want. Like this, and looks better. And then I have this text, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Dribble. So you can click on this first icon. As you can see, one thing I want to let you notice, when I make this icon smaller, what happened is also those icons got smaller. This because we have the same class. If you click on this class, I have Team Glass Card icon, and if you click here, it's the same exact class. And this is the problem when you don't name stuff differently, right? So let's fix this very quickly. First of all, I'm going to change the icons here sizing. So I would go with, let me see, brands, and let me find for LinkedIn, for example. Okay, then I would go and choose for the second one X or Twitter. Instead of Temify, I would go with brands maybe. Okay, we have X here, so you can choose X now. And then let me go on maybe Instagram. Okay. Oops, no. Let me go back and click this icon instead and search for Instagram. Solid Instagram. Okay, so we have our icons here, and great. So as I said before, there is two ways. You can actually don't activate this and overwrite the class by typing, like 2em, for example, and as you can see, it's basically overwriting the class. But if you want to give them a class, you of course need to remove this class and re-add the class very quickly. In this case, probably I will just override just to go faster on this tutorial. So in this case, I will just say 2em for this one, and then you can just, you know, copy the style and paste the style by doing this. And we solve our problem. Now you can click on the div, so on the social wrapper in this case, and I would click on the class now and say, you can also remove the class. And as you can see here is display flex. If you want everything into this class, remove this, click on this block, and then go again, flex, perfect. Horizontal, make sure it's clicked, and then on column gap, right click, and you know, you go with XS or S or whatever you want, or just type in your custom sizing here. Okay, so let me check the design. Looks like this looks good. We have the text, we have everything. So now let's work on the cart and on the layout. First of all, we need to basically add some spacing between the items, right? And this is very easy because we created divs with content wrapper. Let me close this up so you see it better. This is the content wrapper, right? We go and activate the class, and then on display here, you can open it up, say flex. Okay, don't worry. Now we click on direction vertical, and then on row gap, you can add your row gap spacing. And it would be, in my case, I think that an S would be great. This is actually too much, so let me see, maybe not S or XS, and let me see what's going on. So one thing I noticed is the content wrapper. This content wrapper has the same class of this other content wrapper. Okay, so it may, if you change this, it's basically going to change this too. So for this specific content wrapper, I can go and override the class by removing this, okay, and just applying another class if you wish. So you can do that by, first of all, renaming this one, and you can rename it like text in a wrapper, for example. And once you rename it, if you're using AutomaticCSS, okay, you can basically change without doing anything, but I just want to show you how it works. If you go back on Team Glass card and click BAM again, as you can see now, text in a wrapper is off. Okay, so you can turn it on, so it creates a new class for it, and now it has his own class here, and you can click on it and just, you know, add the spacing you want. So again, display, flex, and then on row gap, click on direction vertical, and then on row gap, you add your own spacing for this specific div here, okay? So now we have it in this way. If the spacing is too much, again, I remember you can use like 1em if you want to add spacing like this, or in this case, as I'm using AutomaticCSS, I can click on XS and then say calc divide 2, and now as you can see the spacing is divided by 2. You can change this value as you wish. Okay, great. So let's start with styling the actual card now. I'm going to close everything and check them if everything is working well. Great. Okay, we have the content wrapper and we have the theme card class. Okay, now this is a little bit tricky. We need to play around a little bit. So, theme glass card. First of all, we need to add some a background to it, okay? And by doing that, click on theme glass card. Of course, theme glass card, you can select this if you wish, but in my case, I won't be selecting the class because I want to add a background first. So select the image, and I will go with this. Okay, now we have the background. Don't worry, it's a little bit messy now, but we will fix it. And after doing that, I will activate now the class. Okay, the image will disappear, don't worry. And now with the class activated, I'm going to add some spacing on the top, for example. And I would go with layout and padding top. okay, I would use AutomaticCSS, and I would go with, let's see, XL or content gap. Okay, so I don't have much of, setting here, so I will go and basically add it manually. Let's say I want to 6 EM, or let's try to play around. Okay, 12 or 14. Okay, we have 14 EM. There is a dog here around. So 14 EM, and then I'm going to say 2 EM here, or maybe 1, based on your preference. Let's say 2 EM, and let's go fast. I don't want to stay and lose too much time on the design. So now we have the structure, right? The image here, you can also, if I remove the card, okay, and I go to the image here, as you can see, you can also set it to something larger if you want. Okay, here depends on the quality of the image and the performance you want. I will keep it in this way. Then again, let me get back to the Team Glass card. Okay, now we done everything. Looks like it's working well. Now I need to add a background to this div here, and the div is content wrapper, as you know. And to add that glassmorphism is we actually need to add some CSS. The CSS is based already made for you by this website called CSS Glass, but if you go on Google, you find a ton of other CSS glassmorphism CSS generator. The prettier one is, I think, the first one, that is this one. I will put the link in the description, and you can basically play around with the blur. For example, look at this, look at the example here, and then copy the class, okay, the CSS code here. So let's do that very quickly. Okay, so first of all, in the design, if you check it, it's white. Everything is white, right? So let's first basically give everything a white color. So I would start with the title and just, add the white color, text light, the icon color. You can click on Team Glass icon color and just add the white. And as you can see, also those ones change in white because they are sharing the same class, but they have a different sizing because we overwritten it. Cool, right? So click on this class and then color, and what did I choose here? Sorry. Text light, and this one would be always activate the class, color, and text white. Okay. Now we need to copy this text here. Team Glass content wrapper, okay? You can just select it and copy it, activate this, of course, and then close all the tabs, go on CSS, and here I would go with something like this, and then let me add curly brackets. And we are going to copy this and paste it here. I'm going to remove this one that is not necessary. It's a comment, okay? And as you can see now, look at this. We have our cool glass effect. We need to style it a little bit. So you can change the border radius from here. I would just remove this because I want to use bricks for the border radius. And then I think that the rest could be border. You can remove the border here if you want to use bricks for the border. And okay, so looks like now we have our effect, our blur effect. Now what we need to do is to keep styling the thing. So go on layout, and this time padding here. I can add now my padding. Let's say I want to add a padding of XS here, and just click this one twice to apply on everything. And as you can see now, the effect looks really great. So another thing we need to do now is to basically add our corner radius. I'm not sure in the design. Yeah, the design doesn't have corner radius, so we can keep it like this. I only noticed that the design has more spacing in it, so you can just change the spacing to an L or an M in this case, and then just click twice here so everything applies, and now looks a little bit better. And also then we are going to add some border. So go on border, click on border and style solid. And as you can see, it's adding a border on the rest, on all the sides. And color, I would go with text light color white. And as you can see, now we have the border. So we basically create the same card. Of course, you need to style it a little bit. You need to play around also with the glassmorphism thing here. I went really quickly, so yeah. Okay, great. So once you've done this, of course, you can also add a layer of darkness if you wish to the div. You can do that by adding a gradient overlay or like overlay and say color. No, this is not working actually. So let me check. Oh yeah, okay. So we need to go with transparency. Yeah, so you need to play around. If you want the text to be more visible, you can basically go and gradient, apply to overlay, and then just add a color that could be a black with some transparency, like, you know, in this case, you can just go and play around with this like that. So now it's more visible, so you need to really play around it. Okay, great. So once done, okay, so I don't know why I added two colors. Excuse me, let me remove this one. Okay, and let me check this one. So yeah, the transparency maybe is too much. Just a little bit to make the text visible. Okay, great. So what is left now is to basically duplicate this, okay, and then check the responsiveness of the card. And to do that, let me go very quickly and select the theme card glass and duplicate it a few times in this way. Now we have the cards. Let's bricks loading a little bit, and then on container cards, go on content, okay, and gap now. So container cards, make sure this is selected. You have gap. Right click and you add your gap. Could be M, could be S. Let's try M. M looks good. Let me check the design. Yeah, looks like an M would work fine. Oops, where it is? Okay. And okay, so now let's style very quickly this one. So I would go and basically open up the container and heading small. Make sure that on style typography is centered, and then let's see, font size, right click, I would go with an S, and then I will move to the second heading, and the second heading font size is a little bit bigger, so you can play around with this font size. Let's say XXL just to make it bigger. I would center this. And this text here, font size, you can keep it as it is, and then I would center it, but I would also give him a maxed width or width. Let's right click on it and say, okay, I want this one to be an L, for example. Great. Then you go and click the div here that we call it button wrapper, just to make sure. And with button wrapper selected, you go on content, and you can click align cell to center it, but we will do it later maybe. Yeah, let me change this to flex horizontal row gap and just give an XS. So it's not changing. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's not row gap, it's column gap. Here you go. Okay, so click on the container title now. Okay, this container here, that is the main container for those elements, and just ask him to align everything cross axis. And then I'm going to add also a row gap. Oops, content gap. Let me see. Okay, here we have some gap, but it's too much, so we go and use XS. Let's say I want this title and this text like into the design to be, oh no, those two are basically closed. As you can see, there is a div here, and this is a separate element, but it's not a problem. So those two are a little bit closer to each other. So click on the first one, right click, wrap into a div, okay, and then you can open up the div and just drag the second title here so that these two are close together. And if you go on container now, everything is set up correctly. You have less spacing between these and the rest is okay. So this one, if you want to change the style, you can see, you can click on secondary if you want. Oops. Or, oops, where is it? Primary, muted. We can also use outlined. Where is it? Here, outline. Here the option, and you can have the outline version. You can style it in the general settings. Okay, so we have this. The spacing, you should work better on the spacing here. If you want to add more, again, click on container title and let's go and space XS M. Okay, you can change this. Let's say to S. Okay, then you can fix it. Now I'm going to very quickly change those images by clicking on the images itself. But before doing anything else, I would like to see if the responsive is working. So, as you can see on the tablet already, we have a few problems because it's too narrow here. Then, of course, on the smallers, it's all broken. But don't worry, it's very easy to fix. So, in the tablet version, first of all, I want to have two columns. Okay, so I'm going to close all those and I'm going to click on container cards. With container cards selected, instead of grid template columns here, now it's 3, right? I would go and use 2. And now, as you can see, we have everything set it up correctly. Okay, and now if I go on mobile landscape, as you can see, it's looking great. And on mobile, I don't want this mess up, so I would change this here on the left with 1. And voila, here you go. Everything is fully responsive, everything works fine, no kind of issues, and looks great. So now you can play around and just click on the cards you want, like this one, style, and on background, as you can see, you can actually change, you know, the images. Look at this, very quickly, very cool, and you can reuse the card on the whole website. So, we did a job. Of course, you need to style it a little bit better. I went very quickly, so there is many things that you can style, play around and make really a better design than what I did. I did not copy it exactly as the Figma, but we created a structure. So now it's your turn to really style it as you wish. And yeah, so let me check again everything, and perfect. Everything looks great. You can play around, and of course, if you want to give him a link click, you can click on this div here, content, and change it to HTML tag to a link, for example. And now you have the link, and you can add external links so that if you click here or the whole card, you can do whatever you want. So now I will remove this. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you like this video, you will be helping me a lot with my channel, and of course subscribe to the channel to get notified, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.